is that we want to work with India as a geopolitical partner in this reliable and trusted and predictable way, where we can find each other in these developments. That's where the Indo-Pacific comes in for us. When you look at this moment in Europe, we're very much preoccupied with with the continuing Russian war of aggression on Ukraine. And we are very preoccupied also with the American-Russian negotiations to end this war. We support the idea of ending this war diplomatically, but we of course want to see that is done in a way that is not only just but also has positive rather than negative consequences for the European security as a whole. This is very important because this war not only is an unjust war in the sense that it violates the UN Charter and international law and all the principles of international law, but it's also a war that directly affects our security and the European security architecture. So the way this war ends will affect European security and its architecture for years, if not decades to come. What you at this moment see that European countries and European leaders are scrambling to get together to see how we can contribute regarding security assistance for Ukraine when a ceasefire and after a peace deal has been made. And you see European countries scrambling also and getting together to increase their defense spending. We all know that NATO has this defense investment pledge of 2% of GDP to be spent on defense. Of all the NATO countries, the 32 NATO allies, 9 countries are still not meeting that target, but the pressure is increasing on them to get there soon. We'll see that a NATO summit will take place in the Netherlands, in The Hague, at the end of June. That will be, I think, the most important NATO summit NATO has ever seen. We are discussing now in NATO what the new and adapted investment pledge will be and to what percentage we will raise this target. So it will definitely be higher than 2%, and what time path will be connected to that. I mention this because it's very important to see that Europe is getting together now. You see European leaders meeting about every other week, either in London or in Paris, but you also see it with high civil servants in the diplomatic sphere, high diplomats and chiefs of defense meeting regularly to look into these matters of how to assist Ukraine currently, so that it's not with a knife at its throat while negotiations about Ukraine are taking place. How to continue the sanctions pressure on Russia, and we see that the sanctions pressure after 16 EU sanctions packages has an impact on Russia. You see the cracks in the Russian economy. We see a base interest rate there of 21%, for example. We see relatively high inflation. We see investments not taking place. So you really see an effect of the war effort and the sanctions pressure on the Russian economy. And it's important for us to get together and to see what kind of, how we can strengthen our security and our military effort in Europe. So that is maybe for you something which is far away, but for us, this connects to what Europe is in the world. If we get to a more multipolar order in the world, Europe wants to be and needs to be one of the poles. And I think that could be beneficial for India in its outlook, also in the Indo-Pacific. You see European countries also understanding that the point of gravity in the world is shifting, and that the Indo-Pacific is a very important region in this regard, and India being a key country there. So you see increased naval exercises, for example, with India. You see increased cooperation and ambition on cooperation between the militaries, but also defense industry.
वेलकम सर, वेलकम जी। बिल्कुल 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 सर, ये आप
सर जब श्याम ने काम किया है तो खुशी तो होगी ही।
मेरा नाम मेरी शान, विस्टा प्रिंट।
Talking at the G20 in South Africa, but now also here in his home